What is a bond? Bond means what? We know few bonds. James Bond we know. Executive bond we know. Only these many bonds that we know. Correct? Executive bond we know. James Bond we know. But what other items that we know as a bond? Here also the term bond is also lifted from our Indian language only. Bond. The bond. From where you just get this? In Sanskrit, you have Bandhavyam, bond. Even husband also is derived only from our Indian. So in marriages, whatever may be the religion they follow, Asta Bandhanam. That is husband. I am not just telling like this. One of our students, when he given the marriage invitation to me, I was just I said I will definitely. Sir, please go through the full marriage invitation. He had just printed like a literature. What you should do for marriage and what is that. Those things I have not done. He just said like birthday as how you have star and you celebrate. Wedding day should not be celebrated on English day. Those stars and those days only you should celebrate. And he had given all this explanation and why the rituals are like this. What is the importance of rituals? When you come to the marriage, don't just give handshake to bride and bridegroom because they should only be giving that. For that, what is that sort of importance? All that he had just given. So he had just conveyed what sort of connection and all that. Only then I have understood, but I did not go for the marriage. That is a different thing. Because once again, I have class almost on all these days. So my bandhavyam with the class is more than that. So what is a bond here? So when you say for public limited companies, when they take borrowings, they call that borrowings as debentures. Debentures are a static figure which will have no price except for when it was issued. It cannot be traded. If I am the debenture holder, I am bonded with the company. When they pay, I will receive, only then I can go. So that means not many will be coming into debt market. Only when I am allowed to push off as I like, then many people will join. Are you understanding? That means when debentures are traded, they don't call that as debentures, they call that as bond. So as how you have security as a common term which will include equity as well as debt security, same way the debentures are not called as debentures. From now on, they are called as bonds. You have various variety of bonds there. When you say capital, you have equity and preference. Likewise, you have in this particular case, for debt instrument, you have bond as a general term, in that you have zero coupon bond, you have callable bond, you have puttable bond. Say, why at all these topics I should handle after some point of time? People could have asked me the question, sir, why is that you are taking it up now? Why not at the very initial stage and create the impression that the subject itself is very light and easy? Why at all we have to do capital budgeting first, followed with IFM and then to derivatives and then to other items? Let me tell you, it has got its own logic. When I have to do something on bond valuation, I expect students to know capital budgeting. The price of the bond is very much similar to that of the value of a machine. So bond is on the liability side. Asset that we are talking about in capital budgeting is there on the asset side. When I am just thinking of as what price I can pay for the machine. I assign the value or the price of the machine based on the inflows that it will generate and how much I can sell the asset at the end of the term. All that I am taking it up at present value and say this is the price that I can assign for this machine. And when the supplier of the machine is quoting less than that, I am buying, otherwise I don't buy. This is what you call it out as NPV. Same is the way, bond also has the same feature of the asset. How come? In the case of bond, you are paying interest. At the end of the term, you are repaying the capital. As how you have in the case of machine, when it generates cash flow, and at the end of the term, residual value you have. Same is the way you have during the term, interest is paid at all points of time. At the end, you are repaying the capital. Here you have continuous flow. Here also you have continuous flow. There in the assets, you have salvage value. Here you have redemption value. So as how to arrive at the price of the asset, same is the way we can arrive at the price of the bond. If the shares can be traded in the market, why not bond? Bond should have a price. Are you understanding? Bond should have a price. Only then trading is possible. Are you understanding, all of you? So, as what technique we have used in capital budgeting, same technique we have got to use. So, to know something on bond, we require some knowledge on time value of money and capital budgeting. Therefore, bond is to be studied after capital budgeting. Derivatives can be handled only after discussing IFM, because therein derivatives we are comparing options with forward, and in the case of IFM, when we are talking about M0 and M6, we require time value of money. Time value of money is adequately discussed in capital budgeting. This being the link as why we are proceeding one after the other. Why mergers and acquisition was handled after derivatives. So there also we are discussing something about NPV. NPV is equal to benefit minus cost, and all that are reported based on that particular issue. As in valuation of equity, we say it is, we have not merged mergers and acquisition and derivatives. There are certain problems that we have. Towards the end, I was just thinking, why not we combine all the chapters and take up one problem. Value of equity, how is it we have arrived at with the help of Black-Scholes model? Value of equity is what we require in the case of mergers and acquisition. Dividend policy. Say, unless a person is knowing capital budgeting, as how we could have arrived at the value of equity shares, D1, D2, D3, D4, D5, D6, D7 and P6. Do you remember that? We have just working out as the holding period has got having no nexus to the price of the bond or price of this share. So when you are having knowledge on these topics, you will be in a better shape to understand this. What is bond? Now tell me. Bond is nothing but a debt which can be traded. Okay. Bond is a debt instrument which can be traded. So you consider equity share, debt, all that are conveyed by a common term called as securities. From now on, we will call equity as equity security, bond as debt security. As how you are in a position to find out price of equity shares, same is the way we can find out the price of bond. Price of bond will help us to find out as whether we are going to buy the bond or sell the bond. So therefore, in the problems that we will take up, price of the bond is very important. How to find out price? There will be set of problems that we have. Then, for asset, you have IRR. For asset, you have IRR. For bond also, you have something like that, which you call it out as yield to maturity. What is that? Yield to maturity. See, this is for bond, as how they are similar to what we have just handled. Price of the bond helps you to find out as whether you can retain the bond or sell the bond, whether to purchase a bond or sell the bond. Underpriced, buy. Overpriced, sell. Correct? Then, we have something like for cost of capital, what you call it out as cost of capital in the case of capital budgeting. Here we call that as yield. Yield to maturity is IRR. Yield means cost of capital. Yield means cost of capital. Then coupon. What is called as coupon? Interest. Interest we call it out as coupon. This coupon enables the bond trading very easy. Imagine that there is no demat and it is physical delivery. If I am allotted by the company the bond and the coupons. Coupons are like, I am just telling you, like, it is something like tiger is looking like cat. That way I am just bringing out a comparison. So, your coupon is similar to that of your post-dated checks. So, when that particular period is getting over, I will pull out from the coupon, deposit with the bank and amount will be credited to my account. I don't have to wait for the company to give me interest warrants. In the case of debenture, I have to wait when the company will give me interest warrant. They may scratch their head and they say 1 month delay will be there. Here there is no such question. Predetermined coupons are provided to you. At that point of time, I can pull it out and deposit. I don't have to ask the company. So, that amount of flexibility makes the bond easily a transferable instrument. Are you understanding, all of you? It could be annually paid or it could be half-yearly paid. Are you understanding? Coupon is nothing but interest that you have. Then, what happens for this KO? When this cost of capital is undergoing change because of the money market fluctuations. When money market fluctuation is present, it will affect your KO and therefore it will affect your price. How come? Because price is nothing but sigma, PVF and cash flows. PVF is decided based on KO. Are you understanding? So, when KO increases, what will happen to the price? When KO increases, what will happen to the price? Price will decrease because when cost of capital goes up, PV factor values will be coming down. Lower PV factor multiplied by cash flow will result in lower value. When cost of capital is falling, the price will go up. When cost of capital is coming down, price will go up. When cost of capital goes up, price will come down. Let me repeat. When cost of capital goes up, price will come down. When cost of capital comes down, price will go up. To what extent? To what extent? For which there is a measure we have. What is the sort of measure? We call that as volatility. What is it we are doing in volatility? A study of change in price or a given change in yield. A study made on the change in the price or a given change in yield. What is volatility? Volatility is a study on the changes in the price or a given change in yield. I hope that all of you have noted. And to get this volatility, we have a formula. That is duration divided by 1 plus yield. What is that? Duration divided by 1 plus yield to maturity. At a point of time in your study, yield and yield to maturity will be lookalike. The reason is that even in our study of capital budgeting, we alter the cost of capital to find out IRR. So at the end of the day, is it cost of capital or IRR? When you ask a question, we say at that point of time, cost of capital and IRR as same. So at a point of time, you should know how to differentiate. The point of time, you should know how to see them as same. So please understand, there is a formula that you have in this bond, that being duration divided by 1 plus yield to maturity to find out volatility. Then what is duration? What is duration? Duration is similar to that of your discounted payback period. Duration is similar to that of discounted payback period. I am not saying it is exactly the same. It is something like as how tiger is similar to that of cat. Same is the way I am just telling it out. It has got a resemblance, but it is not the same. What is that? You can put it in writing itself, no problem at all. What is duration? Duration is similar to that of discounted payback period. It indicates, full stop, it indicates the average waiting period. It indicates the average waiting period for the investor. It indicates the average waiting period for the investor to get his returns, back. It indicates the average waiting period an investor waits before he takes his money back, that is redemption back. Say if you have the project having 8 years or 5 years, let's take up for 5 years. So the bond holder is starting his realization process by year number 1 itself, some amount of coupon, second coupon, third coupon and all that. So when he looks into the return, on an average, he is not have to wait for 5 years to get his return. So he may have to wait for 5 years to get all the money, but the average waiting period will be less than that. Like in the case of term of the project, maybe 5 years. Discounted payback period, maybe 4.25 years and all that. So definitely, you would be finding the duration being lesser than the term. Can we make note? Duration is always lesser than the term. Duration is always less than the term. Duration is always less than the term. Whereas in the case of zero coupon bond, duration and the term are same. Duration and the term are same. Why they should be same? Why they should be same? Because in the case of zero coupon bond, no coupon is provided during the term. All that money for the very first time and the last time they receive only at the end of the term. Therefore, duration of zero coupon bond and the term of the bond will be one and the same. Whereas in the case of non-zero coupon bond, the duration will always be less than the term of the bond. Are you clear? We also have something to do with callable bond, puttable bond. What is that? Callable bond and puttable bond. What do you mean by callable bond? What do you mean by puttable bond? What do you mean by callable bond and what do you mean by puttable bond? Callable bond means what? Puttable bond means what? See, from the very name itself you should understand. we say in Tamil, Tanni Pambu means it will be there in water. That snake will be there in the water, Tanni Pambu. I have asked a question, where this water snake will be living? That sort of question only I have asked. So, callable bond means what? What is called? The holder will have the right to buy, having no option, no obligation to buy. The bond holder will have the right to buy back their money. Are you understanding? Sorry. I will put it like this way. Company has got the right to buy back the bond. Excuse me, sorry, only puttable in the other way. So the company has the right to buy back the bond, having no obligation to buy. That means when the callable bond will be issued, the callable bond will normally be issued when the money market cost is very high and the future money market is likely to be lower. If I have borrowed at 14% and the money market is very costly, it is not necessary for me to continue with 14% rate of interest when the money market value or money market rate is falling. What I can do, I can ask the bondholders, come on bondholders, if you want to continue with this company, continue at 11% the new rate, or else take the money back. So that means, if they give the money back, there will be some other bondholders will be coming to take that 11% where bondholders will not have any other opportunity but to continue. There is puttable bond also you have. What is that puttable bond? Where the bondholders will have the right to sell, that being they can ask for the money at any point of time and they don't have any obligation to sell.